Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is in theaters, so I thought I would rank all 34 MCU movies. So, let's get started. Hello everyone, welcome back to Geek City. Today we're ranking all 34 MCU movies. We are not including the TV shows because that would take way too long. That would be a separate video. This is just my opinion. Let me know in the comments how you would rank these movies. And let's get started. In last place, at 34, Thor: Love and Thunder. I absolutely hate this movie. There are some great ideas in there, but then they make an orgy joke or something like that. The movie does not have a single joke that lands for me, at least. Gore the God Butcher would be a great villain, especially since they hired Oscar-winning actor Christian Bale, but they put him in the stupidest movie in the MCU. They try to make the villain serious, but it doesn't work because they're making stupid jokes every 2 seconds. There is a good arc with Jane and how she has cancer, but again, it's too stupid in order for it to feel emotional. They make Thor a total idiot, like he's doing split kicks and things like that, so barely anything works in this movie. They let Taika Waititi loose, and it does not work. At number 33, Captain Marvel. Some people hated this movie just because they don't like Brie Larson. I don't want to be that person, but she does make Captain Marvel suck. Her character arc is that she starts remembering things. That's not a good arc. The villains are not interesting. The best thing is that it's fun to see Samuel L. Jackson playing a young, innocent Nick Fury, and he was great in the movie. Number 32, Iron Man 2. Every time I rewatch this movie, I like it a little less. There's barely any action, and when it happens, it's not very good. The villains are kind of lame. Whiplash spends most of his runtime complaining about how he wants his bird. Robert Downey Jr. does great, but he acts stupid. He pisses in his suit, and well, that's stupid. It was cool to introduce Black Widow, though. I think they did a good job with that. Now we are in the mid-tier. All these movies I like going forward. At 31, Thor: The Dark World. This movie does not have really any issues. The problem is that nothing in this movie is interesting. The acting is fine enough. The acting's alright. Like, the action is okay, but it's just forgetful. The villain is the most lame villain in the MCU. I keep forgetting the name of the villain, and there's clearly a reason for that. Number 30, Doctor Strange. The movie has some really good things in it. Benedict Cumberbatch does a great job. It looks incredible. This is easily the best looking MCU movie. But it feels like they were just trying to copy Iron Man and make it a little more magical. I mean, if you asked me to define this movie, I would say it's about a snarky, rich man who gets injured and decides he needs to do better. Bam! Sounds exactly like Iron Man. Probably because they're almost the same story. So it's not very original, even though it looks really good. At 29, Black Widow. This movie would be a lot higher if it was not for the last 40 minutes. I love the opening 20 minutes showing us a young Natasha and her family. We get a great cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit while showing us children getting kidnapped. It's brutal, and I love it. The cast is having a great time. Florence Pugh and David Harbour are the standouts, and they are great in this movie. But there are two huge problems. Although the main villain is pretty cool, Taskmaster was a complete waste in this movie. He was completely wasted. She does nothing. She can't even talk. She sucks in this movie. The twist on who she is pretty boring. I saw it coming a mile away. The main problem is that the last big battle is way too cartoonish. People are flying out of the sky. It's ridiculous, and it does not work. At number 28, Thor. It's fine. There are some really funny moments. Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston are really fun. But this movie does not really work because it will go from a serious scene to a funny, goofy scene. It does not work, but it's still fine. At number 27 is Incredible Hulk. I think this movie gets way too much hate. I like Edward Norton, and the action scenes are great. There are some clunky things in the plot, which is the main problem. The movie is the most grounded and, pretty dark MCU movie. At number 26, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I find this movie extremely overrated, but there is still some good stuff about it. Namor is a pretty good villain. They're able to honor Chadwick Boseman very well. Rest in peace, man. But I think it's just way too long. It's so dark. I don't know what they were doing with the lighting there, but I can't see it. I feel like you cannot have a Black Panther movie without Black Panther. At number 25, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This one was fun, but it does not work as an Ant-Man movie. The Ant-Man movies are small scale, but this one is about setting up the next big bad villain. Kang was great in this movie. I have faith in him, but MODOK is not good. He looks really goofy. I feel like they were trying to set up a good arc for Cassie and Scott, but it was never really explored. That's the problem. Paul Rudd is still great and hilarious in this movie, so overall it's pretty mediocre. It has some good things in it and some bad things. It's average, but still fun. At number 24, Ant-Man and the Wasp. This movie has no issues in it. It's just a fun, small-scale movie. But that's the thing. Since the plot is so simple, there's not much to talk about. The cast is having a great time, and I am too, when I watch it. So yeah, it's really fun, but not much about it to talk about. At number 23, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Again, it's fun. You get to flesh out Mantis and Drax. Kevin Bacon is finally in the MCU, so it's a lot of fun, but it barely counts as a movie. It's like 40 minutes. I still thought I would include it for the heck of it. At number 22, Spider-Man Far From Home. This movie is really fun, but there are some major issues in the plot. The basic plot is that Tony Stark gave a dead teenager incredibly dangerous glasses. Why? Peter was dead for 5 years, and he is handed these dangerous glasses, and then he gives them to some dude he barely knows. I mean, come on. But it's still really fun. The jokes land for me. The performances are good. Jake Gyllenhaal is really good in this movie. But Mysterio is like the 1 billionth villain motivated by Tony Stark, even after Tony is dead. People are still mad at him. It's pretty annoying at this point. At number 21, Black Panther. I've never understood why this is the MCU movie that was nominated for Best Picture. Out of all the MCU movies to get nominated, this is it? I mean, come on, it's fine. The CGI is really bad. The performances are good, though. Killmonger is a really good villain, I will say. He has an interesting motive, and he actually makes Wakanda change. So overall, it's good, but it should not have been nominated. At number 20, Werewolf by Night. Like the holiday special, this is technically not a movie, it's a special. But I love horror movies, and it's great to see horror in the MCU. It's pretty much an homage to classic horror movies, like it's black and white, like the original Universal horror movies. So overall, it's pretty good, but it's barely a movie, so there's not much to go by. At number 19, Ant-Man. This movie is really fun. Paul Rudd is so funny in this movie. And you can tell the cast is having a great time. So it is incredibly fun watching it become a hero. But it is kind of copying the plot of Iron Man. If you rewatch Iron Man and then Ant-Man, then you will see that they are almost the same. At number 18, Iron Man 3. This movie gets way too much hate. People say that the Mandarin twist is bad, but I don't really get what's so bad about it. They tricked us, so they did what they were trying to do. Robert Downey Jr. gives us another great performance, as always. The one thing that does not work in this movie is that this was supposed to be the last movie that Iron Man was in. You can tell because he, blows up all his suits, but it doesn't really mean anything because he just shows up in Age of Ultron. At number 17, Eternals. This movie has a 47% on Rotten Tomatoes. That is incredibly stupid to me. I think the movie has some great ideas. There are some really good characters, and the CGI is really good, especially when the Celestial is coming out of the ground. There is an interesting reason why our main characters are fighting each other. There's an actually good reason why they're split up. Yeah, this should have been a TV show because we would know more about each character, but still, I think it's a solid movie. This is when things get tricky. All these movies that I'm about to talk about are top-tier MCU movies. It gets really hard to rank these movies because they're just all really good. But let's do it. Number 16, Avengers: Age of Ultron. This is another one that I've never understood why it gets so much hate. It's not that confusing to me. I think Ultron is a great villain, and he's portrayed very well in my opinion. We meet some new characters and they start setting up civil war, and they do a great job doing that. I like the 3 different acts, especially the part where they are at Hawkeye's home. It makes him a better character to learn more about him. So I've never understood the hate. The plot's not perfect. Quicksilver was underused, but still, a very good MCU movie in my opinion. At number 15, Spider-Man: Homecoming. I think they did a perfect job giving Spider-Man his own MCU movie. They skipped the origin and tell us a story about him managing school and being a young superhero. The Vulture is one of the best villains in the MCU, and he's played by Michael freaking Keaton. I feel like they did not have to have all these ties to the MCU, but that's a minor issue. This is a great movie. At number 14, Captain America: The First Avenger. Some people hate this movie, and I disagree. This is a war movie in the MCU. It tells us the origin of a great character. Steve Rogers is not some deeply flawed man. He's just a good person. Chris Evans does a great job in the role. A lot of people don't like Red Skull, but I think he's fine. I wish we got to see more war scenes instead of making it a montage, but that's fine. Number 13, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This is another one that gets way too much hate. I love Sam Raimi because of his work on Evil Dead. So when you mix Evil Dead and Doctor Strange, you have me hooked. I think Wanda was a great villain. I thought she would be a supporting character helping Doctor Strange, but that's not the case here. Now, there could have been more multiversal things in this movie. The title is Multiverse of Madness, and there's not a lot of that. But that's not a big deal to me. Titles lie all the time. At number 12, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Some people have this as like top 3, and I still really like it. I don't have a single issue with the movie. It's both a political thriller and a superhero movie. You don't see that a lot. So it's a great movie, but this list is getting hard because at this point, all the movies are really good. At number 11 is Iron Man. People are going to be pissed at me. Look, I think the movie's great, but it's a bit overrated. The only reason people put this in like top 5 is because of nostalgia and that it's the first MCU movie. So people would, to me, this movie would be mid-tier if not for the amazing performance by Robert Downey Jr. So don't hate me. It's my opinion. You can stop watching if you want. I could care less. And number 10, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This movie is incredibly funny. I think Ego is a very underrated villain. He's a brutal villain. He murdered whole planets. Nobody ever talks about that. Why? It's Kurt Russell. It's Stuntman Mike in an MCU movie. The cast is having a great time. There's some great character development. Baby Groot is also cute, as always. But the thing holding it back from being better than the first one is that I don't like Taserface. I get it's a comedy, and I really liked it when I first watched it. But over time, every time I rewatch it, Taserface just becomes annoying to me. But Yondu is a standout. Although he was only in 2 MCU movies, he's one of the best characters in the MCU. And he's played by Michael Rooker, Merle Dixon. At number 9, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Going into this movie, I did not think I would like it. The only reason I went to the theaters is because my friend invited me and I wanted to hang out with him. But walking out, I loved it. The martial arts are incredible and the villain is top 3 for sure. At number 8, Guardians of the Galaxy. Nobody thought this movie would be good because nobody knew who these characters were. But James Gunn does what he does best and made these characters some of the best in the MCU. Since it takes place in space, we are able to go to places that we have never explored in the MCU so far. That's what makes this movie so good. Ronan is kind of a bland villain, but the movie's so good that I don't really care. At number 7, Thor Ragnarok. The other Thor movies were not very good, but this one is great. When Taika Waititi is actually trying, he can make a funny Thor movie. This is because he took it too far with Thor and Love and Thunder. This was before that. Chris Evans is hilarious, and they actually used that in this movie. He's given a good script, and it shows how funny he is. It's bright, and it's bright and colorful movie, and it's one of the best in the MCU. At number 6, Captain America Civil War. This is one of the saddest movies in the MCU. There are some comedic moments with Spider-Man, but overall it's pretty serious. The whole movie is about these friends breaking apart. The final fight with Tony, Steve, and Bucky is brutal and emotional. Zemo is a great villain that nobody talks about. So overall, Avengers 2.5, Captain America Civil War is number 6. Almost top 5. Before we go to top 5, let me know in the comments how you would rank these movies. And let's get to it. At number 5, Avengers. This is probably the MCU movie that I have rewatched the most. I remember being like 3 and rewatching the final battle a bajillion times. This is the first time any franchise combined all their characters into one movie. Loki was a great villain, and Joss Whedon gives us some great quippy dialogue. Everyone is giving a great performance. The only bad thing in this movie is Cap's outfit. What were they thinking? At number 4, Spider-Man No Way Home. This movie did a great job closing out the trilogy of movies. The ending is incredibly emotional, where Peter makes the decision to have everyone forget who he is. It's fun watching all these versions of Spider-Man villains interacting with each other. And of course, seeing all the Spider-Man together was great. I think it would be top 3 when I first watched it. I would say after rewatch, the way the plot, gets going is kind of weird, but I don't care. Toby, Andrew, and Tom are all on my TV at the same time. Can't get cooler than that. At number 3, Avengers Infinity War. After years of setting up Thanos as the big bad, we finally see his big, beautiful purple self beating the crap out of our heroes. This is the only MCU movie where the villain wins. The Avengers lose, which was incredibly shocking at the time and still is. You can tell everyone is trying to beat Thanos, and the kills are emotional, especially Gamora and Vision's death. Thanos is a great villain, although he's evil, he's trying to change things. I was so excited to see all the characters together that aren't just the Avengers, like everybody together. I saw this movie opening night and loved it. At number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. James Gunn ended this trilogy in the best way possible. It's the darkest movie in the MCU. You are watching animals getting tortured for half the runtime. This is a great closeout for the Guardians. Everyone gets their time to shine, and it gives us the first F-bomb in the MCU, because, well, why not?
There's a button under the handle. Press that in. Okay. Now what? Open the f***ing door.
The ending is great. They are playing Florence and the Machines while we have a little dancing. The High Evolutionary was a great villain too. Top 5 for sure. But at number 1, Avengers Endgame. This is the best way to end the Infinity Saga. Everyone is desperate to defeat Thanos and bring everybody back. There are some very emotional deaths in this movie. And the final battle is the best final battle in any movie. The moment where you hear "on your left" and you hear a portal, my theater that I was in started cheering. This movie was easily the best in the MCU, and this is one of my favorite movies of all time. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Let me know your ranking in the comments, and I will see you guys next time.